Today, we're going to talk about the retirement cliff and what you can do in terms of Social Security benefits when you reach that retirement cliff. All right, this is also a live Q&A, so if you have any specific questions on any of that, retirement benefits, survivor benefits, children benefits, disability, Medicare, Medicaid, make sure you type it in the live Q&A. We'll stick around here for about an hour. I'll talk about the retirement cliff for about 10 minutes or so, probably not even that long. And then I'll answer any and all of your specific questions, because that's one thing about Social Security. There's exceptions to the exceptions to the exceptions. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So number one, what is the retirement cliff? What exactly is it? I'm sure people that are in retirement or about to reach retirement already know what it is. It's just basically your income just takes a dive. You're working for decades and decades and decades, and all of a sudden you decide to retire and you've lost that income. In the old days, you used to have pensions. You get after working someplace for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you get a gold watch, you get a pension, health care forever. Not so much anymore. Pretty much left to your own devices. So hopefully, Social Security is there for you. You've paid into Social Security. It's obviously I'm sure everybody would wish they could get more from Social Security, but there's three legs of the retirement stool, as they call it. Your Social Security retirement benefits, your savings, and your pension. As I mentioned, a lot of pensions don't exist anymore. So let's talk about Social Security itself. Number one question I get all the time is, how are Social Security benefits calculated? They're calculated over your high 35 years of earnings. Way too many people think it's calculated based on your last 3 years or your last 5 years or whatever the case may be. No, that is 100% incorrect. Social Security determines how much you're going to make on retirement benefits, survivor benefit, your survivor, your spouse, whatever, disability, based on how much you actually paid into Social Security. So for the retirement part, your high 35 years of earnings. And they index those earnings. So this is why it's extremely, extremely important that you check your earnings record. Go into mysocialsecurity.gov, set up an account there, and look at your earnings record. And do not ignore those earnings early in your life, because all of those earnings are indexed for a wage index. So basically, if you look at your earnings back in, let's say 1980, when you were still in high school or something, and you worked, scooping ice cream, and you made $12,000, and you're like, oh, that's not an issue. It's not a big deal. Well, in 1980, $12,000 is probably worth like $80,000 today. So that might be one of your high 35 years. So they take the high 35 years over your entire career, index those for that wage index, come up with an averaged indexed monthly earnings, and then do these weird calculations where they multiply the first part by 90%, another part by 32%, another part by 15%. And that's how they come up with your PIA, your primary insurance amount. That's the amount that you would receive at your full retirement age. And that's the number they base everything off of. So how much are you going to get? It depends on that. And it also depends on when you actually start your benefits. So if you start your benefits early, we're looking at about a 30% reduction. So if your full retirement age is 67 and you start at 62, you're looking at about a 30% reduction. If you wait till your full retirement age, then obviously you get that full benefit amount. If you wait past your full retirement age, you actually get what's called delayed retirement credits. 8% for every year you wait past your full retirement age. So if your full retirement age is 67 and you don't start collecting your Social Security benefits until you're 70, then your benefits will increase by 24%. So let's say your full benefit amount at your full retirement age is $1,000. If you wait until you're 70 years old, you get 24% more. So instead of $1,000 a month, you'll get $1,240 a month for the rest of your life. So those are the differences. And when should you start those benefits? That is 100% your decision, whether you need the money, you're working, which we'll talk about work here in a little bit, whether you're healthy, are there you have a spouse waiting for you to collect your benefits so they can collect their benefits? Do you have children under the age of 18? Do you have children that became disabled before the age of 22? Are there, your genes, all the rest of it? That's the questions you need to ask. And I've got a website that I'm working on, my new website. It's getting very, very close to being done. I'm just going through the final part here. So on working in benefits and the application process and all the rest of it. So let's talk about, this is not live yet. My new website is not live yet, but it'll have a lot of calculators in there so you can calculate earnings on your benefits and calculate whether, a break-even analysis in terms of when you should start your benefits. Is it better to start it at 62 or 67 or 70 or whatever the case may be? For those watching on other platforms, you might not be seeing my screen, so just come on over to my YouTube channel. But anyway, all right. So working while receiving benefits. Let's start with starting benefits. When you are going to start your benefits under your full retirement age, then what you made up until you start your benefits has no relevance whatsoever. Let's say you're going to start your benefits in July. And from January till June, let's say you made $1 billion. I always exaggerate for effect. So January through June, you made $1 billion. And you're like, that's over the annual earnings limit. The annual earnings limit is $23,400. Anything over that, Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. We're talking before your full retirement age. So, but you're going to start your benefits in July. So Social Security doesn't care about that $1 billion you made before you started your benefits. They only care about what you made, what you're going to make when you start your benefits. So starting in July, you're going to start your benefits in July. As long as you're under the monthly limit, which is $1,950, then you are good. As long as you're under $1,950 starting July and for the rest of the year, you'll continue to get your benefits. And then the following year, you have to stay under the annual earnings limit. This year, it's the $23,400. Next year, we don't know what that is. Okay. All right. So that's when you first start your benefits. What about after you start your starting benefits the next year, until you hit your full retirement age? Once you hit your full retirement age, you can go back to making $1 billion a month. No relevance whatsoever. The rest of the time, you have to stay under the $23,400. So anything over that, again, Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. The year you hit your full retirement age, it switches. Now the annual earnings limit is $62,000, and they only count that before your full retirement age. And anything over that, they hold back $1 for every $3 you go over. It's all kind of complicated. But basically, the super long story short, there are too many people out there receiving Social Security benefits in early retirement, and they think they're not allowed to work. And that is 100% incorrect. You are allowed to work. Just you have to stay under the annual earnings limits, or if you're waiting, again, for retirement age, there is no annual earnings limit. So what happens if you go over your annual earnings limit, you continue to work and pay into Social Security? Well, that can increase your benefits. So even if you're collecting your Social Security benefits, you're number one, you're still going to pay FICA taxes. If you're talking about W-2 wages or self-employment, you're going to have to pay FICA, Social Security, Medicare taxes forever, even if you're collecting. So there's that. But in terms of your working, let's say you're 85 years old, 75, 85, 95, 105, whatever, and you're continuing to work and you're continuing to pay into Social Security, if that year is one of your high years, then Social Security will automatically recalculate your benefits. So what happens is once you close out the year, let's say January, February, March, April, or whatever, you do your taxes, Social Security gets your information for the previous year, and they look at it and they say, hey, Bob made a whole bunch of money last year. Was it one of the high 35 years? Yes, it was one of the high 35 years. So they kick out the low one, stick in that new one, recalculate your benefits, and your benefits will increase. And that is 100% automatic. You don't have to do anything. Okay. And what is ARF? ARF is if you are under your full retirement age and you're continuing to work and you go over those amounts and they stop checks for whatever months, then you're not going to lose that money necessarily. What happens is once you hit your full retirement age, they recalculate your benefits. So let's say you start your benefits 30 months early, okay, at 63, whatever, 30 months early. But then after 10 months, you go back to work. Like me, I retired and 10 days later, I went back to work. And so after 10 months, you go back to work and you don't get a check for the other 20 months. Once you hit your full retirement age, the Social Security computer system automatically looks at your record and says, hey, Bob is reduced by 30 months. Bob's Social Security check every month is reduced by 30 months, but he only took 10 months of those benefits. So that recalculates it and it does a reduction for just those 10 months. It doesn't give you 20 months of checks back. It just unreduces those 20 months. And that's called the adjusted reduction factor. And that again is 100% automatic. That happens once you hit your full retirement age. All right. So there are so many variables and variables and variables. That's why we do a live Q&A. That's why chapter sponsors our live Q&A there, so we can answer all the other little questions. So let's got a question about income taxes. Let's see. I don't do income taxes, but I think it's Social Security related. Let's see. Dee Dee asks, filed my income tax in February. How long does it take for Social Security to send the overpayment letter, and how long can you make an overpayment arrangement for? Okay. All right. So it looks like you worked over the 23,400 or whatever the case may be last year. You knew about it. So a lot of people do that, kind of a strategic overpayment. So you know you're going to get an overpayment. A lot of the times they send those through your My Social Security account. So make sure you've got a My Social Security account set up and you can check in there and, you can see the letter probably quicker than you can, snail mail. But it takes a little bit. You filed your income tax in February. It depends whether you're W-2 or self-employment, but yeah, they will send you should be getting a letter pretty soon. And it'll say, hey, last year you said you're going to make X, but you actually made Y. You owe us $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, whatever the case may be. And then how long do you have? Well, as of right now, the policy have changed over and over and over. You have to take action on this quickly, very quickly. If not, they're going to withhold 50% automatically. If you set up a payment plan, then you can do up to 60 months. Up to 60 months, and it's tax-free, or excuse me, not tax-free, it's interest-free. It's interest-free. If you don't have the ability to pay it back in 60 months, then you can request a longer repayment agreement, but then you'll have to provide all kinds of, financial information of why you can't do it for 60 months. So, yeah, you should be receiving something pretty soon. So Tim asks, I'm a naturalized citizen and have paid into Social Security for 30 years. I started my online application for benefits and see I need an original birth certificate. Will my passport satisfy this requirement? No. Have to have the original birth certificate because the, immigration, where you got your passport, they care about your, status, green card status, naturalization stuff. They don't really focus too much on your date of birth. So Social Security date of birth is the most important thing. So that's why Social Security doesn't trust a different agency to make sure your date of birth is correct. Social Security needs to do it themselves. So yes, you will need a birth certificate if you were born outside the United States. Most people that are born inside the United States, if everything is correct, they don't need a birth certificate anymore. That law changed to, it's been a few years now, about 10 years. But yes, you'll need an original birth certificate from your home country, wherever you were born. And if it is in a different language, do not translate it. Don't waste your time or money getting it translated. Don't translate it yourself because they can't accept it. You just get your original birth certificate. You give it to Social Security. They make a copy of it. You can't make a copy. They have to make the copy of it. They certified it. It's certified an original, and then they will translate it. The Social Security can translate any language in the world. So I have to go back to the US. Can I change my address and keep my expat benefit date? Or should I just keep my expat address? I'll only be in the US for a year and then going back to Britain. Um, can't can I keep my expat benefit date? Yeah, I mean, once you start benefits, yeah, you're not going to change your date or anything like that. But yeah, if you want to change your address, you don't want to change your address. Social Security has two addresses. They have your residence address and your mailing address. So, you know, if you're only going to be in for a year, but you want to get your mail for that year in a different address, just change your mailing address and keep your residence address wherever you want, your permanent address. So that's fine. Simple, simple, simple. And you can go online and do that. Socialsecurity.gov there. Through my socialsecurity.gov. All right, let me get some questions from Gino2136. I'm 61, just lost my job and unable to find one. What do you think about retirement now? I am broke. Unfortunately, because you're 61 years old, the only thing you can get at that age is survivor benefits if you're entitled to survivor benefits. Survivor benefits you can start at 60 years old. But if you're getting close to 62, hey, if you need the money, then you need the money. So if you can wait out to your full retirement age, your benefits increase. Every month you wait to collect your Social Security retirement benefits, your benefits increase every month. But if you need the money, you need the money. But that does not preclude you from working. So if you start your money, your Social Security retirement benefits, and then after however many months, you find a job or you go back to work, whatever, then you can suspend your benefits, essentially call Social Security and say, hey, I'm going to make over the 23,000. I'm going to make X amount over, and they'll stop your benefits. If it's within 1 year, you can withdraw your application. You have to pay all that money back, but you have to withdraw. You can withdraw your application and then restart your benefits later. That's not an issue whatsoever. So, Brenda, can my husband get SSDI? He has been disabled for 3 years and is already on SSA. He is 72. No, unfortunately not. There is nobody in the country is receiving disability benefits after their full retirement age. Everybody who receives disability benefits, once they hit their full retirement age, their benefits automatically switch over to regular old retirement benefits. So unfortunately, no. Mary, I should be getting a windfall elimination check and also benefit increase, but I have received nothing and no explanation or communication. Do I have to go to the office? Pretty much you need to contact now, because a lot of the automatic ones were already done. About 2/3 of those Social Security Fairness Act, the Unfairness Act, if you ask me. But anyway, 2/3 have already been done, the easy ones. So I'm not sure why yours wasn't done. Were you already receiving benefits? Was your primary insurance amount already wept? And if yes, then yeah, you should have been one of the automatic ones that they just converted over. So something is definitely wrong there. So I would definitely go down to local Social Security office, call, whatever the case may be. That's what they said. The official notification from Social Security is, if you don't get your check, that windfall elimination or the Social Security Fairness Act by April, then you need to contact Social Security and see what's going on. So let's see here. AJ, Social Security was to start in March, check in April. I have the Form 521 to complete because I need to delay starting due to finances. Can I restart anytime? And is that one shot of stopping and restarting? No, I've had people when I was taking claims, that couldn't make up their minds. Hate to be with them at a donut shop. Just can't make up their mind. But anyway, sometimes situations happen, and so it's no big deal. So if you need delay, it depends where your claim is in the status. If the claim specialist at Social Security already pushed the button and adjudicated your claim, then you're going to have to go through the 521 request for withdrawal and all that kind of good stuff, and pay back the check if you get it. And so but if you can catch it before they push the button, then it's no big deal. They can just go ahead and stop it and change the date, change the month of entitlement or whatever. And yeah, I've had people, file a claim and then they call me 2 weeks later and they say, never mind. And I delete it. And then they call 3 weeks later and they say, never mind, I want to start it. And they call 3 weeks later and they say, I want to, and it's like, come on. And it's like, yeah. yeah. Feels like we are an economic cliff. Yes, a lot of people out there. Oh, and another thing I should have mentioned is on my YouTube description, in the description there, it has one of the videos I did on living on Social Security alone. It goes for about 50 different programs that if you or someone um, are having a tough time out there, watch that video and hopefully something in there will make your life a bit easier. So definitely check that out. All right, let's see here. Chi-Town native. So we completed that disability form that is sent sometimes last year, and we received it again for my 33-year-old disabled son. And now it states we have to also go in for an interview. Do I worry? No, it's part of the looks like part of the thing. So that's part of the medical CDR, the medical continuing disability review. So it looks like they're doing a CE, a consultative exam with one of the Social Security contracted doctors. So no, you just, I guess they need some more medical type information. There wasn't enough in the file or whatever. And you just, you make sure he makes that appointment and tell him, don't be tough, don't try to put on a front and say, hey, I'm tougher, that I can do this. I'm yada. Be honest. Just be honest. A lot of people go into these disability things and they, try to put on a tough face, but you just have to be honest. Say, yes, I do. This does, make it difficult for me to do this, that, and the other. Don't try to be tough and, and be dishonest. Be honest. That's the most important thing. Stephen, Dr. Ed, very worried if the U.S. Supreme Court lets Doge go into Social Security system and they look for fraud, waste, and and understanding is Doge cannot kick people off of their Social Security benefits. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. In another video about the Supreme Court letting Doge in there because the lower court basically said they look like they're on a fishing expedition. They don't know what they're looking for. They just came up with a whole bunch of really bogus misinformation and used that as justification to go in there and look at everybody's stuff. Which is not good. So somebody asked, how much can I make and collect full Social Security? This year, if you're under full retirement age, $23,400. So anything over that, Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. Larry, Semper Fi, and thank you both for for you and your son, all you do. Remember, like, subscribe, and smash the cap. Yes, thank you very much, Larry. I appreciate it. This is a two-man operation, me and my son. So, and then we've got obviously Chapter that helps you all out with all things Medicare, and they are nice enough to sponsor this. So, I just lost my husband. Wow, sorry, Pina Colada. I'm under 60 and have two teenagers. Is there income limit for carrying child under 16 benefit? My local office told me I can't get it because I make $48,000. Okay, that sounds correct for you. But remember, if you have children, then they can get surviving child benefits. So they will essentially get 75% of their father's primary insurance amount, his full benefit amount, 75%. So they'll get that until they reach 18 years old or until they graduate high school. There is that surviving child and care benefits, which you're asking about. And yes, there is a limit. You have to stay under the annual earnings limit to get child and care benefits. So if you're making $48,000, then, you're making way over the $23,400, and anything over $23,400, $1 for every $2 is, taken out of there. So it looks like it's just children. But if something happens and the situation changes where you cut back your work and under the 23,400, then make sure you go in there. But remember, there's a family max. So if the two children are receiving the max amount that can be received on the father's record, then there's no more money. Even if you go onto the record, there's no more money. What they'll do is, if it's like $1,500 max, then there's three people on there. Then they'll just divide, each one will get $500. And if there's two people, each one will get $750. So the total amount is the same if you've bumped up against the family max. But as of right now, because you're making too much, it's probably not a good idea. But again, if that changes, immediately make a beeline down to your local Social Security office and say, hey, I was working, but with everything that happened, I really had to cut back my earnings. And remember, the same thing also applies. It doesn't matter what you make before you start your benefits. So if you make $48,000 before, and then starting, next month, you're going to cut back your earnings to under $1,950. Yes. You can start your benefits. Barb says a website is never done. Yes, that is a fact. It is. I went way, 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 way overboard with the websites. And so it's, it goes into retirement disability benefits. Hopefully it breaks it down there so it makes it easy. The appeals process, continuing disability reviews, and how do you prepare? And it gives you all the inside scoop, talks about working and receiving Social Security disability benefits and family benefits, which we were just talking about, child and care benefits. Oh, I have to work on that section a little bit more on child and care benefits. So yes, the website, you are 100% correct. It will never be done. So, all right, another place here. We got a question. I leave work 5/9 on disability. Do they contact my employer? When do I file? I would file now. If you are going to stop work because of a disability, I would call Social Security or go online and start the application. One of the reasons I like doing it for filing for disability online is because you're more in control and you're not rushed. I can tell you by millions of experiences in every office in the country, disability appointments, they give you, the claim specialist is given about 45 minutes to an hour to do it. So they have to get all that information done within 45 minutes to an hour so they can go on to their next, 20 claims that day. So they just don't have enough time, and sometimes they kind of rush you. It's unfortunate. So that's why I recommend, if you're going to file for disability, if you can do it, file online. So you get all your prescriptions, all your medical information, your doctor's names and addresses, when you saw them and all that kind of good stuff. And you go into the disability application and you just sit there and fill it out. You just answer all the questions, and you can take an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and get it all right. And then I've done a series of videos on tips, tricks, and secrets on, helping you get approved. Make sure you watch those videos on my YouTube channel, and hopefully that'll help you out. Diana, why is there a cap of $176,000 after which you don't have to pay FICA taxes? If the cap were to be raised, Social Security would be solvent for years to come. Yep. You, Diana, and the rest of our community here agrees with you 100%. Anything over for this year, anything over $1,000 or $176,100, you don't pay FICA. You're exempt from FICA, the Social Security part of FICA. They still pay the Medicare part of FICA, but they don't pay the Social Security part of FICA. And that's the issue. That's why Social Security is going to have cuts for everybody in about 7 or 8 years, because of the Social Security Trust Fund is being depleted. A lot of people, they're given wrong information that the trust fund was stolen, and those are just politicians trying to trick you to shut you up. But if the FICA cap was smashed and everybody paid into Social Security like the rest of us, then Social Security would be good for a long, long time. So we'll only take 2 months for a knowledgeable Social Security rep to call me back to answer a question. And this has been a long time coming. Politicians have been really ignoring Social Security for decades. We've known about these issues, but politicians, our politicians, and Social Security has been at a 50-year low in terms of staffing even before the current administration. But now with the Doge cuts of all the staff, now it's even 10 times worse. So, wow, nice website, Ed. It's going to be better than Social Security for sure. Yes, that's what. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate it. Yes, that's what I was kind of shooting for, because you got, SSA.gov, which is all legal, and it's very difficult, and but I tried to make it. I tried to translate it into English. So yes. Social Security cons you to wait for an extra $200 just to tax it. Doesn't sound aware. Yeah, I mean, they tell you if you wait, you get more money. So I guess I guess you can consider that a con. But hey, a lot of people need the money early, and if they gave everybody the full amount of 62, then everybody would take the full amount of 62. And Social Security is supposed to, replace, ever since 1935, Social Security has always been set up to be a replacement for lost wages. So if you continue to work, then can't wait for your new website. Looks amazing. I appreciate it. Yes. So once I got the final little tweaks there, we're going to go live, and then I'm going to need your help. So this is a community thing. Let me show you one last thing here. I'll show you why I need help. Let me take this thing out here. You see, I have more there, and I'm going to be adding protective filing, overpayment, Social Security card, living overseas. And this is the big ones right here, community resources. So we're going to set up a thing in the community sources. I'm probably going to consolidate these two to where you will be able to add, hey, in my area, there's this food bank. Hey, in my area, there's this place that helps you weatherize your home. Hey, in my area, there's this, that, and the other. And then you'll be able to add that to the website. And that way people that live in your state and your area can go in there and find resources. So this is going to be a community effort. And as someone points out, yes, the website will never, ever, ever be done. So fake person. I talked to Mia today. She was fabulous. It was worth it to go through her and talk to her. She helped me and my husband out so much. Oh, okay, awesome. So that is Mai Jackson. She is a retired Social Security employee as well. She worked for the agency. She used to do the very, very critical congressional type stuff. And she does private appointments, one-on-one calls for people. That's one thing we do charge for. Everything else is free. But in order to pay for the website and all that kind of good stuff. If you go into my YouTube description, you can schedule an appointment with her. I used to do them, but since I'm working on the website, I don't do those one-on-one appointments anymore. But Mai is awesome. She is super. She knows her stuff. So if you want to schedule an appointment with her, just go, yep. Mary, I should be getting a windfall elimination check, and also, okay, I already answered that one. Molly, I am a representative payee from my son who just got disability. The bank says I don't have the right forms, and the IRS says I do. Do you know what I need? I can't deposit 3 checks. Oh, I'm not sure about that. Usually what it is, if you're the representative payee, the check will come from Social Security. It'll say your name for, and then your son's name. So probably it sounds like the bank, they need his name on there. So you need an account with, I unfortunately, I can't help you. And particularly, I really can't help you with the IRS part. But Social Security, it sounds like they've done everything correctly and set you up as the payee. Remember, when you're the payee, you're ultimately responsible to make sure the benefits are for his welfare, obviously, which obviously your son, you probably won't get a payee report. Some people that are representative payees, once a year, they'll get a payee report where they'll mail it to you, and they'll say, hey, last year we gave you $24,000 for your son. What did you do with it? And you just put down there, roof over the head, food, PlayStation, whatever. But usually they just changed it within the last couple of years that if it's like an immediate, child or something like that, they don't send those out anymore. So, All right, let's see. I'm a state employee with a pension. I heard the Social Security changed how Social Security is calculated. What happened? Yes, that was signed under Joe Biden. It was supported by President Trump. It was a bipartisan effort that is called the Social Security Fairness Act. But you're a state employee with a pension, but did you pay into Social Security? If you did, during that job, that state job, if you paid in Social Security, then it's not relevant to you. It's only for those people that worked in state, local, city, or federal government that did not pay into Social Security. So, okay, let me see. If you don't understand, I highly recommend you can't get your questions asked by Ed on here to go on is where you can sign up and get the help 100% worth it. Oh, okay. Yes. Everybody that's done those one-on-ones has said it's 100% worth it. So, after my divorce in 2001, I changed my name back to my birth certificate, but not the IRS or Social Security. Now, SSA, IRS, and Medicare still have my married last name. Afraid to correct it, so I can't get new ID. Yeah, correct it. You have to do it. And you start that through Social Security. So you're basically changing your Social Security card. You'll get the same Social Security number, the name will change. And once you change your Social Security card, that interacts with everything else. So the IRS will be notified and the Medicare will be notified. So you just basically do it one thing through Social Security, and then you take your your new Social Security card down and get your new ID from your state. So very, very easy. You can download an SS5. That's a request for a Social Security card. That's basically what you're doing is you're updating your Social Security card, and then you put your previous name and you want your new name, and then you provide proof. Go down to the local Social Security office. You can't do that online. You cannot do a name change online. You have to go down to the local Social Security office and provide proof of the name change. Um, so usually, if it's a divorce type situation, if you provide the divorce decree, and in the divorce decree, it says that you are going to go back to your previous married, birth name, then Social Security can use that as proof. So, oh, all right. Let's see. Maybe get some other people that haven't asked any questions. If the cliff comes later, say 8 years, I just hope the COLA had increased that much at the time. Yeah. So what Just a Survivor is talking about is the cuts that are inevitably going to happen that we know are coming. We've known about this for a few decades, but yeah, we've refused, and our politicians refuse to do anything about it. And now I think we're pretty much out of time, unfortunately, to fix it. Yeah, so it's going to happen to everybody. By 2033, 2034, we're looking at about 21% cuts in benefits. Everybody's going to get a cut unless you reach out to your politicians and they do some type of Hail Mary. But, we should have fixed this decades ago. But anyway, let's see. Just be Ed. Sure is hard to decide whether to start Social Security at 64 now or delay 1 or 3 years. My increase would be about $200 more per month for each year I delay. Yeah, 100% your decision. Nobody can make that decision for you, and there is no perfect answer. The only time I can tell you 100% for sure when you should have taken it. I can tell you 100% for sure the day you shuffle off your motor coil, the day you check out. That is when I can tell you just be that, oh yeah, you should have taken a 62, you should have taken a 64, you should have waited till 70. But before that day, and by that time it's too late, right? So right now, the only thing you can do is just make your best guess effort. Are you working? If you're not working, if the annual earnings limit is not an issue, then that's not an issue. Your health and all that. So, and one of the things on my new website, it has a calculator that you're going to put in there, and it'll give you a graph, and it'll say, okay, if you start your benefits at 62 or 63 or 64 versus 67 versus 70, and it'll give you a line graph. It'll tell you, well, if you live until 85, then if you started at 70, maybe you would have made $50,000 more, $100,000 more. So it'll give you a little cost benefit analysis. And there's a lot of websites out there that charge you an arm and a leg for that little thingy, but yeah, it's going to be free on my website. So, let's see. Okay, yeah, afraid trying to correct my last name. People do it every single day, so I wouldn't be afraid about anything like that. So, Ed, you're awesome. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. You're awesome too. Thank you for that comment. I am 62 and was already earned 40,000 this year. If I start Social Security in June, I can still make an additional 23,000 through December. Not necessarily, no. So if you start your benefits in June, starting, if it sounds like you're going to go over the annual, over the 23,400, so that means they're going to switch to a monthly. So starting June, you have to stay under $1,950 starting June until the rest of the year to continue those benefits. So, let's see. Big Chocolate 113. SSI takes years to give an answer on application. Why does it take years after all required are in? No, sometimes, yes, it does take years if you have to file a reconsideration and then see administrative law judge and all that stuff. Yes, there are people that it does take years, but there are people that file for disability and they're approved the same day, or they're approved the next day, or the first month. So it really depends on the disability. Fortunately, like back issues take longer, mental issues take longer. But if you've got stage 4 cancer, you're pretty much approved the same day. In a terrible car accident, approved the same day. I've taken hundreds of thousands of disability claims, and some of those like that were approved almost immediately. But yeah, it really depends on the disability and the yeah. Oh, and the disability in your medical records and everything. So, Mark, Union Rayo and Todisca are reporting that starting April, everyone is supposed to be in person, verify at an office. Can this be real? I've talked about these two resources, and I just ran across that Union Rayo one this morning. I made a screenshot of it so I could talk about it. Yeah, it says say goodbye to automatic payments, Social Security to suspend benefits starting in May. It's all these are super clickbait. I'm not too familiar with the Union website, but the Todisco is just a couple of guys in Spain. One of the guys is disabled. I guess he's receiving Spanish disability. And then I think he was doing these disability, articles for people in Spain. And then all of a sudden it hit in America. And he's like, wow, I can make money selling advertising in America. So they started doing all this BS articles. And so you can go into, I would recommend just block those. So if you have like a Google News or something like that, and you get those from those unreputable sources on a regular basis, if you click the little 3 dots on the side of one of those articles, you can just put down there, I don't want to see any articles from that, those places anymore. So Ralph, thank you for all your info. You're welcome. What do you think would happen if every single taxpayer stopped filing their taxes? What would Congress do? Well, they'd send out the IRS, but since they fired so many people at the IRS, So, and people say, "Oh, they fire people at the IRS. That's great. We hate the IRS. We hate having to pay taxes." Yes, everybody hates to pay taxes, but one of the reasons they need all these people at the IRS is because to audit us is easy. Our records are our taxes are super easy, so it's easy to harass us. But people that make a lot of money, they have armies of tax lawyers and accountants and all this kind of stuff. So it takes a lot of people to audit the rich people. And so that's why the rich people don't want people at the IRS. So they just want them to harass us, regular schmoes, because it's easier to harass us. So do I need to be receiving benefits before my spouse files for higher spousal benefits, or can he file same time as me? He can file the same time. So he cannot receive spouse benefits on your record until you start receiving those benefits. But until you start, you're receiving those benefits, but you can file at the same time. So basically what you do is if it's a phone appointment or something, you schedule an appointment for yourself and also tell them, hey, my husband is going to be there as well. So he wants to file a spouse claim. You pick up the phone at that particular time, you talk to the claim specialist, you file your claim, and then you hand the phone over to your husband, and then he files a claim on your record. So you can do it at the same time. Easy, 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 easy. Done it millions of times. My pension was reduced at 62 after retiring from the United States Postal Service under CSRS offset. Am I eligible for the Social Security Fairness Act? Definitely sounds like it. Yeah, if your benefit was recalculated based on the windfall elimination provision, should already have been done if you are one of those in there. But so yeah, I would definitely contact Social Security and find out why yours wasn't one of the. They've already paid out 2/3 and close to about 14 or 15 billion dollars has been paid out. So yeah, not sure why. Yeah, you need to contact them. Pink Owl, thank you. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share, hit the notification to all. Thank you, Pink Owl. Appreciate it. Yes, please. David, if retiring in July 2025, 65 years old, and have already earned 30,000, will I be fined for this amount at age 65, or will the 23,000 per year amount, or will it start in July? So, yeah, because you're going to be over the annual, they throw out the annual the first year. So if you're going to start in July, you just have to stay under $1,950 starting July for the rest of the year. It doesn't matter what you made before. So no issues whatsoever. Susan, what's up, Susan? What about people that have savings also in personal stocks? Will it affect my Social Security benefit, Social Security checks potentially if I need to sell any of my stock? Nope, not at all. If you're talking about just regular old Social Security or spouse benefits or survivor benefits, no issue whatsoever. Social Security wants you to have that, other leg of the stool. If you're talking about SSI, which is the welfare-based program that Social Security administers, supplemental security income, then yes, but you're just talking about regular Social Security retirement or something. So nope, doesn't affect it whatsoever. Doesn't affect Social Security at all. Let's see here. Can I draw off an ex-spouse if I file early at 62? She turned 62 in 4 years. No, because your ex-spouse has to either be receiving benefits or at least 62 years old. So so unfortunately you file for benefits and it sounds like 4 years later, when your ex-spouse turns 62, then you can collect benefits on their record. And they don't have to be receiving benefits. It's called independently entitled divorced spouse. As long as your ex is at least 62 years old and you've been divorced for 2 years, then you can collect benefits on their record, and it doesn't matter whether they have filed or not. So I haven't found for my Social Security yet 64, but I want to retire. What should I? Okay, I only got part of that question. If monthly income goes more than 1950 at 1 month, how much less at other month does it affect the Social Security? Yeah, it's 1950 for the month. So if you go, make 1,000 1 month, they don't do that averaging in that monthly earnings test type stuff. But technically, but between you and me, the Social Security computer system, okay, just between you and me, the Social Security, if you're doing the monthly test that first year and you made over 23,000 and therefore you're going to the 1950, the Social Security system doesn't know if you made 1950 in 1 month or 2,000 in another month. They just, so I'll just leave it at that. So, but if they somehow they do, then you will get an overpayment that said, hey, you were going to stay under $1,950 for every month after you started your benefits and you didn't. So therefore you owe us X amount of money. So there's that. But I have never seen that happen. But that's just between you and me. You're not going to share that with anybody, right? Peace and blessings. I wanted to know in 2 years, I'll be 67. I'm currently receiving Social Security Disability Widows. Will this change and will I continue to collect under my husband or will it change to my benefits? Okay, so you've been currently receiving Social Security disability widows benefits. So that means you're receiving DWIB benefits, disabled widows benefits. You started receiving those disabled widow benefits from 50 to 59 years old. And what happens is, so you're essentially receiving survivor benefits, a disability form of survivor benefits. And once you hit your full retirement age, as I say, everybody's disability stops. So you are receiving disabled surviving widows benefits, same thing, disabled surviving benefits. And then once you hit your full retirement age, the disability part's gonna stop and you're just gonna receive surviving benefits. So most people don't even know the switch, but you're, no longer getting any CDRs. You're no longer limited to how much you work. The check stays the same and everything. One thing that you now need to check to see is if your benefits on your own record are going to be more. So call up Social Security when that happens at your full retirement age and say, hey, I'm on survivor benefits now and my survivor benefits are X amount of money. How much are they on my own record? And if they're more on your own record, switch. But remember, your benefits on your own record will continue to increase until you hit 70 years old. So you might say, hey, I'm 67 now. If I switch to my own record, that's going to be $100 more a month. But if I wait a couple more years, it's going to be, $500 a month or whatever. So make those decisions based on the actual amounts. Jimmy Zimzam. Hi, Doc. What documentation should I gather for survivor benefits? I turned 60 in October. Should I make an appointment after that date? You should make an appointment immediately. Well, within a couple of months, about 3 or 4 months before October, schedule an appointment. And if this is a divorce type situation, so you'll need the marriage certificate and the divorce decree. If you were married when the person passed, you'll just need the marriage certificate. You don't need the death certificate. If they passed away in the United States, then you don't need the death certificate. Social Security already got that notification. So make your appointment and don't delay. So if it rolls around in October or whenever, September, that you have your appointment and you say, oh, I haven't got my marriage certificate yet. I haven't got my divorce decree yet. So let me go ahead and wait. No. Don't worry about that. Just keep the appointment and they will tell you at that time if you in fact need any of those documents. You'll probably need one or so of those, but they will tell you. So never delay. And remember, you can start your benefits at 60 years old for survivor benefits. A lot of people make a mistake and they think all benefits start at 62. And there's so many people out there that are struggling for 2 years when they didn't need to, when they could get surviving spouse benefits at 60. So please press like and subscribe and share and all that kind of good stuff so we get that information out there. So, and remember, even if you're collecting survivor benefits are a form of retirement benefits from Social Security. So you're still under the annual earnings limit, the $23,400 and all that kind of good stuff. So, speaking of that, I am 62. I can collect survivor benefits, but work income is more benefits. If I take survivor benefits, when can I apply for my work Social Security benefits? Okay. So this person is 62, but they're working. So, the Social Security sounds like maybe will withhold more than, she can make. So you're talking about a good strategy. You collect your survivor benefits, you don't touch yours, and you let your benefits continue to increase until full retirement age, 70 years old or whatever. Sometimes people collect their benefits on their own record and wait for their survivor benefits to increase. And their survivor benefits may increase, depends on the particular situation, may increase all the way to your full retirement age. They don't increase until 70. They just increase until your full retirement age. So, Ralph, thank you for all you do. What do you think would happen? Okay, I already answered that one. Let's see. Kitty Fisher, my pension was reduced at 62 years old and had to start collecting Social Security due to retiring under CSRS offset. Am I eligible? Okay, I already answered that one. At what age would my wife qualify for survivor's Social Security benefits if something happens to me? A spouse can start survivor benefits at 60 years old, unless that spouse is disabled. A disabled widow's benefit, disabled widow, it's called DWIB, disabled widow's benefits, they can start at 50 years old. So if the surviving spouse is disabled between 50 and 59, they can get that disabled widow's benefits. But other than that, 60 years old. So approximately how much is the max survivor spouse benefit? The max surviving spouse benefit is the same amount as the max retirement benefit. If the retiree waits until their full retirement age and they've paid their max benefits throughout their life, then this year it's over $5,000, about what, $5,100 or something like that. So, all right, let's see. Iris, I turned 65 in 2 months, but I plan on continuing to work. So when do I fill out the form so I am not penalized on Medicare, now or after I retire? Okay, good question. So, but you're planning to continue to work. So if you have health insurance from current work and your employer has 20 or more employees in that group health plan, you don't have to sign up for Medicare. You don't have to sign up for Part A, Part B, nothing. You don't have to contact Social Security and tell them you don't want anything. You don't have to do anything. If you're currently receiving Social Security benefits already, they will sign you up automatically. And if you don't want Part B at that time, then you do have to do something. You have to refuse Part B. But if you have health insurance from current work, yours or your spouse's, it has to be current work, and you're happy with that. And they're not sometimes employers make you sign up for Part B, but reach out to them. But if your employer has 20 or more employees, then you don't have to sign up for Part B. And when you stop working at 67, 70, 77, 87, or whatever the case may be, and you stop receiving health insurance from work at that time, then there's a couple of forms you fill out, and you get no penalty whatsoever. So if you want to sign up for Part A, some people do that because it's zero premium for you. I'm sure it's zero premium for you, most people. And then it's extra coverage. But, if you don't have to shell out the $185 a month for Part B, then, why waste the money? But if you want to sign up for it, you go ahead and sign up for it, and then you reach out to Chapter, and they can help you with all the rest of it. Get in a Medicare supplement plan, Medicare Advantage plan, Part D plan, whatever the case may be. So, William, I think I missed this question earlier, so thank you for asking it again. On SSA, Social Security appointment to calculate 25 gross pay for overpay. If agree with initial Social Security rep on GP, does GP amounts or gross pay amount have to go through a further approval process? What should do at appointment if not agree with the rep's GP amount? Yeah, if you disagree with the gross pay wages amount, I'm not sure. So you disagree with whatever. Yeah, if they give you an answer you don't agree with, you can request a request for reconsideration. So if the person tells you right then at that time that here's what I'm going to do, you can't. If they tell you, hey, this is what I'm going to do, then that's not an official decision. They actually have to put it in the system and push the button, and whatever. Usually you get a letter, but in your particular case, you might not get the letter. It really depends what's going on there. But yeah, you can always request a reconsideration. So SSA 521 and say, I disagree with the first decision. I want another person to look at this. So let's see. Pat, you are good. Your son and you. Thank you. I appreciate it. How do I know if my benefit amount shown on SSA.gov has been unwhipped or not? Former government employee. Yeah, if you've been receiving benefits for a while, then pretty easy. If you were receiving $1,000 a month one day, and then the next month, now you're receiving $1,300 a month, you've been unwhipped. So, is there a difference between federal government disability and Social Security disability? Yes, you're probably talking about OPM, the Office of Personnel Management, people that worked in the government or the veterans disability. Yeah, it's different than Social Security disability. Yep. Let's see. How long do you to be married to get survivor benefits? Okay, so eligibility for survivor benefits is, if it's a divorce type situation, 10 years. Had to be married to the person for 10 years. Oh, Tweety Bird. Tweety Bird is on TikTok. And usually Tweety Bird is on YouTube. So wow, she is all over the place. So if it's a divorce type situation, 10 years. If you were married to the person when they passed away, you had to be married at least 9 months. There's a couple of exceptions there. One is if it was an accident, or the other one was the person was a military, active duty military. All right. You should make some money off of that, Ed. Charge like a $5 usage fee or something. Yeah, I did put. Let me show you when it all comes live. There, I am. Yeah, depending on everybody's good graces. So subscribe to the newsletter, and if you want to support support updating the resources, yeah, you can definitely do that. So, and then obviously, if you if you use Chapter, I've got another thing where you can do wills and stuff. And so I'm working on that. So yeah, anytime you support our sponsors, they support us. So, but yeah, I don't want to, yeah, force people to, because a lot of people out there just can't, just can't support. So it's the thought that counts. I have to praise the Social Security caseworker I had. She was wonderful on the phone. All right, enough and edited. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's tough out there in Social Security land, and the employees are, yeah, they're dealing with a lot. So yeah, if you could tell us what office that is, please put it in the comments or live Q&A or something, and say, hey, that was this office, and so that'd be awesome. All right, we're over an hour. Let's do one or two more questions, and we'll call it a day. I'm 62, collecting my Social Security because I was laid off last year and needed the money. If I find a job that pays me enough to have my benefits suspended, what happens to my future benefit amounts? Okay, perfect. Yeah. Yes, you're doing the right thing. Remember, if you decide you stopped your benefits within 12 months, you can actually withdraw your application, but you have to pay all the money back. But you're talking about, hey, I'm going to be making over. So if it turns out you're going to make substantially over the $23,400, call Social Security, tell them that you're going to make $100,000 a year, and they will suspend those benefits. And then again, as I mentioned, remember the ARF is that once you hit your full retirement age, they will recalculate your benefits and unreduce those benefits based on the fact that you didn't get those checks for the particular months. So this is one I haven't run across recently. If you renounce your U.S. citizenship, are you still eligible for Social Security? Also, if you hand in your green card after 25 years, are you eligible? So if you renounce your citizenship, just between you and me, Social Security doesn't know. But anyway, but if it really depends on what country you go to. Some countries have a totalization agreement, an agreement with Social Security, kind of reciprocal, Social Security agreement, that if you're eligible, if you actually paid into the system and all that kind of stuff, you can still live in that country without U.S. citizenship as long as you have like a green card. But if you turn in your citizenship and also a green card, I'm not sure why you would have both, but yeah, that's that one. That's probably going to take a legal opinion, but between you and me, again, don't tell anybody. Social Security doesn't know when you're turning your citizenship like that. So, all right. Facts are facts. Some are political. Yes. All right. So I think that's it for today. We're way over an hour. So I apologize for all those people I wasn't able to get to the questions, and but I will be back tomorrow. So, all right, y'all have an awesome day, and please take